This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
Hello and welcome. I'm Shivani Gupta, the guest anchor on NDTV's special program on the differently abled called I Can. Yes, the differently abled are doing it for themselves with a little help from corporates, technology, and concerned citizens. During the next half an hour, we'll bring you inspiring stories from across India, and I hope you'll help us remove the dis from the disabled. As I navigate through this completely inaccessible shopping area, I'll let Tisha Srivastav share my journey as a differently abled person with you.
The University of Reading, the only British university to have a course on inclusive environment, changed its rules for Shivani Gupta. The course was a part-time one, for which student visas are not issued. But when the university saw her resume, they changed their course to a full-time one. She did get her visa and joined the 2005-2006 batch. Shivani's story really begins in 1992. This front office executive at the Marriott Sheraton had a car accident and found herself in a wheelchair and out of a job.
You know, what is there. You cannot change it. But I think how my family supported me was by being very encouraging. You know, that you can do it, giving me role models. I mean, I remember at that time I was given role model of Major HPS Ahluwalia, chairperson ISIC. So that, made me feel, yes, I mean, if he can do it, so can I. So I think it's just encouraging and not really concentrating on the disability, but at the ability.
If the sun sets, it also rises again. With that doggedness, she worked for the next 14 years to change her and India's mindset towards the disabled. Working hand in hand with the Chief Commissioner of Disabilities, she also made presentations to all the district collectors of India on a barrier-free India. If there was a dearth of material, she created training programs and manuals for architects, NGOs, hospitals, and the CPWD. Representing India in UN workshops and conferences abroad, exposed her to what all is possible. Can you actually move beyond your disability and turn it into an ability? Shivani Gupta's life says yes, you can. Armed with studies in inclusive environments and architecture, she has now been auditing, doing an access audit to see just how access-friendly public buildings, even the hospitality sector is.
For example, we are doing access audits for all the ITC properties. Then we did an access audit of Qutub Minar, which has been taken up as a pilot project with ASI to make a historical site more user-friendly, disabled-friendly. It would become accessible for a disabled person to travel, the kind of independence.
This job, a guardian pet, loyal household help, and she happily lives alone in a house she recently bought. With many awards to her credit, her longtime colleagues cum friends are inspired by her.
One thing that I've learned is that the difference between a disabled person and an able person is not their ability, but it's a perception of society and people like you and me in general. We make them disabled.
I think all of us must understand that an environment which is comfortable, a more inclusive and accessible environment is not only for people with disabilities. It is actually for each one of us. It is for pregnant women, it's for children. All of us were children. It's for the elderly.
The poster in her office probably tells us what she's going to do about it. Maybe that's what the University of Reading saw in her. In New Delhi, Tisha Srivastav for NDTV.
Mobility is the real issue. The gentleman behind me has got a ramp made in his car so that he doesn't need to be lifted physically, rather can easily be wheeled in. Really, we have to show all the ingenuity we have. And that's exactly the kind of innovative spirit corporate India is showing in hiring persons with disabilities.
A feast for the senses, being prepared by one who has one of his missing. Ajay, who cannot hear or speak, is one of the 34 people hired by ITC Welcome Group nationwide in the last 1 year.
Well, as per NCPEDP, the figures of total number of disabled in the country is 7.5 crore approximately, and the absorption rate in the formal sector is in the order of about 0.54% in PSUs and 0.05% in the private sector only.
Just charity and corporate social responsibility have clearly not worked. That's why corporates like ITC are now training their HR executives to hire the disabled creatively.
Be alive to their abilities and be blind to their disabilities, so that you put them in the right department and deploy them productively, which is a win-win strategy for both.
Ajay had a tough time waiting tables in his earlier job, but in ITC Welcome Group, he works in the Kolkata section with few people to bump into. With job lists he can see and sensitize colleagues. He doesn't need words to describe his work experience here.
It will increase.
So in a sector that makes guests feel at home, Kalpana too communicates freely with colleagues who are learning sign language on the job, making a barrier-free environment a practical reality. And that's where National Awardee Shanti Raghavan comes in. After her younger brother lost his vision, Shanti gave up her software engineer job in the US to set up Enable India in Bangalore. She now suggests ways to corporates to create the glove that can fit the disabled hand.
Hearing impaired and who are actually filling petrol in Shell. How are they doing that? They interact with the customer by using a communication board, a very simple communication board. That's the solution, which says how much petrol do you want? You tick that you want petrol, you want 500 rupees, you want to do it by a credit card. That's all that's done. So first is the workplace solution identification. The second thing is accessibility. And the final part I would say is the hand-holding that we do with the company. Enable the candidate to succeed, and the employee is happy and the employer is happy.
Helen Keller once said that it's a terrible thing to be able to see but not have vision. Now, all these initiatives have made the CII come up with a disability code of conduct to share what they have learned and to encourage other corporates. It's a synergy that will hopefully help to open more and more doors for the differently abled. With Tisha Srivastav in New Delhi, I'm Daraj Tarapawala in Bangalore for NDTV.
Another issue that was tackled beautifully in the movie Sparsh was how a blind person comes to terms with reality and finds love. As Priyanka Pruthi shows us, it's happening in real life too.
This December, Salil and Monica celebrate 6 years of marriage. They met 11 years ago when Salil was working as an editor at a feature service. And in the midst of changing jobs and building their careers, they found time for each other. For Monica, it was love at first sight.
Well, there were ups and downs, and there were periods of indecision and
From your end?
Yeah, from my end. Will it be okay? How will she feel? There are many limitations to certain things that one can do.
Salil lost his legs in an accident when he was 16. But that was never a deterrent for his wife.
If you ask any woman today what she wants in a man, she'll say, oh, either he's got to have a great sense of humor, he's got to be nice looking, he's got to be sensitive. I never heard somebody saying he's got to have 2 feet, 2 hands, 2 ears,
Both of them feel strongly about how social attitudes and perceptions are still very damaging.
The popular conception is that people with disability are not very desirable, but I think they can be very sexy and one can get attracted to them.
But very few people understand how the disabled are isolated by the hostile environment and rigid mindsets. 32-year-old Dinesh Gupta runs an NGO called Friends, which organizes outings and cultural events for the disabled, but admits that each day is a battle against loneliness.
Physical disabled, mentally disabled to need.
The entire discourse of disability today focuses on physical rehabilitation, employment and legislation. The social lives of those disabled, their wants and desires do not find a visible space. But now technology offers a way out. Online matrimonial and dating services provide new avenues for socializing.
For physically disabled people, we have a special link on our website shadi.com. So where we are having a registration base of around 1,89,000 people as on today.
Shweta Poddar registered herself at shadi.com, hesitant about the response a woman incapable of hearing would get. But soon enough, she met Sudarshan Murthy, an engineer from Bangalore, a man Shweta calls her soulmate. After 6 months of courtship, they got married this year. And since then, as they say, there's been no looking back. With Bureau Inputs, Priyanka Pruthi for NDTV.
Did you know the United Kingdom got the equal opportunity laws for persons with disability in the same year as India did, but has done lots more? Go on, take a break, but do come back when I share with you things you can do to improve the scenario in India.